Data Farm. Today I am going to be showing you how I move data from a folder to Power Query such that whenever I update the folder, Power Query, the data in the Power Query also automatically adjusts. Whatever data cleaning that I've done would also be applied to that incoming data. Same with visualization or any other transformation that I might have done to the database. Okay, so this is going to ease your data migration process and you really do not have to import data at every single time. So why don't you get into it? This is my Power BI now, and this is the folder that has the data that I'm trying to import into Power BI. It is transaction data from different branches. Again, I got this data from ChatGPT. Okay, so I have the data from Abuja, from Enugu, from Ibadan, from Kano, from Lagos, from Port Harcourt. And I also have another data that has the supply data, and I have another data that has the color data. Then this one has the branch data. So this branch data contains information about each of these branches. All right. So I want all of this to be in Power Query. Okay. Now, one more thing that I want to do is in Power Query, I want to make sure that I combine all the branches together because this data is coming from different branches, okay, but I want to be able to analyze everything at the same time. I want to analyze everything together such that they are all combined, okay, but I don't want to do it here. So I want to do everything directly in Power Query so that when I add in any new branch, that also updates. All right, so let's go into Power BI. This is Power BI now. So I'm just going to go into transform data, then I'm going directly to Power Query. So I'll just go to transform data. Okay, so here is my Power Query editor. All right, so I am going to get the data from the folder. So what I'll just do is I'll go to the new source, then I will go to more. You can see a couple of other sources where you can get your data from. So I'm just going to click on folder, then I will go to connect. Okay, so and then it asks me where my folder lies. So I'll just go to browse and I'll go to where the data lies. So the data lies in this PC documents, then data source, right? So I've clicked on data source, then I'll click on OK. Data source is where all those data lies, okay? So I'll click on OK, then I'll click on OK here as well, and I'll wait for it to connect successfully. Okay. So let's wait. So can you see these are all my data set now, everything. So it's asking me if I want to combine and transform, or I just want to go directly to transform. Definitely I want to combine them, although I don't need everything in one because there are some data sets that I need to separate from them, but we'll see how we go about that. So I'll click on combine and transform and I'll wait for it to load. Okay. So it has combined it into one sheet. So if I click on this sheet, it's going to have everything in there. So if you look at this one now, this one is showing what the first file. So if I click on this one, it will show only that of Abuja here, right? As the just to see what I have here as the sample file. So if I click on this now, this is showing that of Abuja and Abuja only. Can you see? Okay, so this sample file does not really matter. You can choose anyone as the sample file, does not matter. So to the first file. So just click on this and then click on OK and let's see what we have. All right, wait for it to load. So here we have it. Can you see? So looking at this now, you can see a couple of steps that have been added here. Can you see? Right. So we just need to be able to navigate it. So if I look at this now, I'm going to see that all my data set has been combined. Remember that I have Abuja, I have the branch data, I have the colors, I have all of this here, and I only need to combine the branches data, which is Abuja, Enugu, Ibadan, Kano, Lagos, and Port Harcourt. Supply data needs to be separate. Branch data needs to be separate because they are different from the others. Then colors, these colors actually has information concerning the colors that I used in this transaction process, right? So I want to make sure that I separate this data set. So before I do anything, I'm just going to duplicate this data. So I have the supply data. So I'm just going to duplicate it into 4, right? I have supply. I need to bring out supply. I need to bring out colors and the supply, colors, and branch. That's 3. So I need to duplicate it into 3, right? So I'm just going to duplicate. This is the first duplicate. Then I'll duplicate again, duplicate second duplicate, then duplicate again, third one. So how many do I have now? I have 4 data sets. So this one is going to have the supply data. So I'm going to edit this to supply data, right? So this one will have the colors data. These are the data sets that I'm trying to extract from this one. So this one will have the colors data. Then this one will have the branch data. Okay. So this one, I only need these ones to be combined, but they still have the ones that I don't need. All right. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to trace it back to here. Okay, this is invoke custom functions. All right. So here I'm just going to invoke custom functions. I'm just going to go to this name. All right. Then I am going to deselect the ones that I don't need. So I don't need this branch data to be here. I don't need these colors to be here. I don't need this supply data to be here. And I'll click on OK. So they have been removed from the combined data. So I'm just going to go to this renamed column. Let's see what we have here. This is this next step. This is the other step. These are the steps that have been applied as soon as you combine them. So it's first of all combine the data, then I have filtered it. That is why this one has been applied. Then it expanded the data here. This was where the data was expanded. So if I look at this now, this would not have those ones that are filtered out. Definitely, it has only the ones that I need, and this is exactly what I want, right? So now let's go to the last stage, which is this one, the last step, which is this one. Okay, so what I need now is that I want to remove this XLSX, because you know that for these branches, right, they have their own name, Abuja, Kano, and so on and so forth. So for me to be able to identify them, I need to leave this column there, right? This is the branch name. So I'm just going to rename this to what? To branch name. Then I'm going to remove this XLXS. This XLXS represents Excel, showing that they are Excel files. So you can actually combine Excel files with CSV file and there will be no problem. It's going to combine successfully. All right. So I'm just going to remove this XLXS. So I'm just going to use the replace values. Then I'm going to replace dot XLSX with nothing. Okay, so I'm left with only the branch names. Can you see? So looking at this now, what do I have? I have only the branch names. They have been successfully combined. I don't need to do anything else again. All right. So we can now name this. Let's name this the main data. Okay, containing all the branches. So this is the supply data, and this one has what we do not need exactly. It has all this Abuja and Co. We need only the supply data. So we'll just come to the invoke function again, which is here. Then we will just get rid of the others. All right. So we're just going to select, we're going to search for only supply, because this is only supply data. Then we'll click on OK. So if we click on OK, we'll go on to the next step, which is this one. Then you can see this table here, right? Just need to click on this table and it will expand the data. So I'm doing this because I want you to actually clear all of this out. So I'm just going to click on continue and it's going to expand the data. Can you see? And it will give it its own step as it deems fit. So I've expanded the data and I have only the supply. All right. So I don't need to stress or do any other thing again. I already have my supply data. Then I'm going to be doing the same thing for this as well. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the invoke custom function, then go to this name and just select only only colors. So this one has the color data. Select only colors. Then I will just go on to the next step, which is the remove other columns, and I'm just going to expand the table and continue. That's it. I have my color data. Can you see? I have my color data. So let me see this supply data. Can you see? Absolutely good. So I'll do the same for this as well. Go to invoke custom function, then select only what? Only branch data. Only branch data. That's the only thing that I need. Then I'll come here again. Just repeat the same process actually. And I will expand this one. Okay, continue. So it expands it and I have the branch data. So this one contains the branch data and this one is having a column that I don't need. So I'm just going to remove this column. So I have my main data, which has the combination of everything. I have my supply data, I have my colors, and I have my branch. Everything is now good, and they are coming from a particular folder. Okay, so I really do not need to start importing again. I just need to update that folder. I'm going to show you, I'm going to do a practical example of when I update the data and see how it's going to reflect here. Okay, but before then, I want to do a bit of data transformation to this branch, to this main data. Okay, so that whenever I populate this main data in the folder, everything that I've done here will also be applied to it. I don't need to do it over and over again. Okay, so what I want to do is looking at this column that contains the amount of colors added. So just a brief explanation of what this data is about. It's a data from a fictitious candle producing company, and like I said, I got it from ChatGPT, and this data contains the base wax type that the customer ordered for. So it's more like the customer will order for a particular color of candle, but then every candle comes in a neutral color and then the other colors will be added to it. So this is more like the wax, the base type, the neutral color, and these are the colors that were added to it and the amount of each colors that were added to it before it was now sold out to the customers. So this is the column containing the colors that was the intended color, the color that they actually wanted to achieve before they decided to add this. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to be able to separate this because this one has a couple of colors for each intended color. So I want to be able to separate it so that they have each to its own amount that was added. So I want to have the color here, color 1 here, the amount of color 1 that was added, color 2 here, and so on and so forth. So this one has, I think the highest color added is like 5. So this one will be split into 5 columns. Then the same as this one, so that each one to its own amount, right? So I'm just going to go there and I'm going to split these columns. So I'll split this by delimiter. And the delimiter, as you can see, is what? Is a comma. And you see it's a comma, right? So, but then I'm not going to use only comma. Why? Because this comma has a space after it. And if I use only comma, this green and the others will go to the new column with a space before them. And I'll have to use the trim to trim it. So just to save myself some time, I'm just going to directly use comma. I'm going to use the custom. Then I'll use comma with a space. So I have included that space that will be coming with the other ones here, right? So I'm just going to do each occurrence of the delimiter because it's not just 2. Then I'm just going to do OK so that it splits it. So let's see what happens now. So this is color 1 added, color 2 added. Can you see that there is no space before them? Color 3 added, right? So this is the first color that was added to the wax. This is the second color that was added. So this one has only 2 colors. So the amount of each colors are in those other columns that we're still going to be working with, all right? So this is the first color that was added, color added 2, color added 3, color added 4, and color added 5, all right? So we'll just hold on with this for now, okay? Now here we have the amount of each color that has been added. So for the first color, this is the amount that was added. For the second color, this is the amount that was added, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to separate this one again using the same method. So I'm just going to go to the split column by delimiter and I'll give it a comma with a space. So it's going to be custom. So I'm going to give it a comma with a space. Then I will click on OK, each occurrence of the delimiter. Done. Okay, so this is for color 1. This is for color 1. This is for color 2, this is for color 3, color 4, and so on. So what I want to do now is I want to make sure that amount of color 1 come close to the actual color 1, amount of color 2 come close to the actual color 2, and so on like that. So I want to put them side by side. So I'm just going to move this one, which is the color 1, close to the color 1 name, right? So I'm just going to move this close to color 1 name and wait for it to move. So this is it here. Can you see? So for color 1, this is the amount that was added. This is yellow, which is the first color. This is the amount of yellow that was added. So I want to do the same for others. I want to move others to the to the close to their colors, but I don't want to spend too much time having to drag it just like I did. So I'm just going to use the advanced editor to reorder them everything at once. So I'm just going to go to the advanced editor and let's see what we have here. Now look at this. This is my last step, which is reordered columns, right? And it's obvious that if you trace it here, you can see the amount of each color is now close to color added 1. Can you see? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come here and move them. All right. So this is color added 1, amount of each color 1, color added 2. Now what should come here? Amount of each color 2, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this here, Control X, and just put it close to here, Control V. Done. I'll do the same for color 3. So amount of color 3, Control X, paste here. Just copy to the comma so that it's easy to trace. Amount of color 4, drag that to, we copy that to, we're not dragging this time. Then put it here, right? We have that. Then amount of color 5 is definitely already close to it. So let's just get rid of this space. So we have reordered everything at a go, not that we have to drag one after the other. Then it is definitely going to return reordered columns. So let's see what we have. We do done, and then we wait. Okay, we wait. So let's see, what do we have? Can you see that they have all moved? Amount of each color 1, like that, like that. Okay, so I'm just going to edit this one to color 1 amount, color 1 amount, right? So I'm just going to copy this, Control copy, then Control V. I'll change this to 2. Then same here. Okay, not this one, the next one. So this is color 3 added. Control copy, Control V, change this to 3, right? Then for the next one too, just changing their column header. Control V, so change this to what, 4. Then the last one, Control V, change this to 5. Now we have edited the column headers, right? Now each to its own amount, right? Each to its own amount. So I'm just going to stop there. I'm working on this. My next video is going to be on how I worked on this project. So watch out for my next video, which is consumption analysis. Now we are done with the main data, right? Edited. We have done a bit of transformation to it, and we have all of this here, right? Now let's look at the supply data. Is there anything we need to do? Not at all, right? No way. Okay. So now what I want to do is now I want to go back to my folder and add a branch. Let's say that I have done this in the company and Nasarawa branch decided to send their own data to me. And I have to update this database with that data. So what I need to do is I need to go back to my folder. This is my folder. Now my folder has no Nasarawa, there's no branch, there's no data from Nasarawa branch. So what I need to do is to bring Nasarawa branch data here. So I'm just going to go to where it is, which is here, project data, and this is Nasarawa. So I'm just going to do what? I'm just going to copy Nasarawa here. You can decide to cut it, we don't need it here anymore anyway. So I'll take it to the data source, now paste it here. Nasarawa is here now, right? Now let's go to our Power Query editor. Let's see what has happened. So now we have this. We just come here and refresh preview. So let's refresh what we have. Then let's look at the branch name and let's load more. What do you see here? Nasarawa. Okay, Nasarawa is here. So now let's confirm to see actually if Nasarawa data is here. I'll click on OK. And what do we have? Nasarawa. Can you see that all of the process that we have done, we don't even have to do it again. Nasarawa has its own name. We don't have to go back here and do anything. Everything that we have done, Nasarawa has its own color added, splitted, color amount close to each color added. and so on. All of the transformation that I've done has been applied to Nasarawa. So if you populate it with every single branch, your Power Query will also be updated. You don't have to do anything. Just put it there, refresh, and that is what you have. Simple and clear. You don't have to stress to update your data again. So the next thing I want to do now is that I want to update this data now for my folder, but I want to show you something first before I do that. So let me just get rid of this filter and select all. Now let's look at what we have in the dates column. Okay, the order dates column, the dates that the products were ordered. So looking at this order dates column now, I want to duplicate this column. I want to have the day and the month. I really do not need the year. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate this column, yes. So I want this to have the, let me just move this to where the date is close to the date, right? So I'm just going to move this here. So I want this to have the day order day. I want this to have the order day, and I want this to have the month. So I want to show you something. That is why I'm doing this. Okay. So for the order date now, I want to change this to the actual day. So I'll just go to transform. Then I will take this to the day of the weekend. No, don't let me make it day of the week. Let me make it the actual day. So I'll make this the day. Okay, the date was ordered. Good. So and this one would be the month. So I'll just change this to name of the month actually. So I want it to be the name of the month. Perfect. So I'm just going to apply. Because if I close and apply to close my editor, I don't want it to close. So I'm just going to apply and go to the desktop. Then we'll see what we have there. Okay. So what I'm doing now is I'm just doing some transformations and visualization. You already understand how I was able to populate it and it reflects here. So I want to do some more population and also visualization, just a bit of reports, not something serious. Okay. So this is the desktop. So you can see that I have my data set here. This is the main data. So I'm just going to pick the branch name and the total transaction amount here, it into a table. Okay, so let's just expand the table a bit. So I'm just going to make the values, let's make it 18. Then let's make the column headers 20, so they are bigger. Okay, good. So we have them now. This. So can you see Kano, Abuja, and so on and so on, even Nasarawa show face. Okay, so what we want to do now is I want to apply a filter for the month. So I'm just going to pick the month. Where's the month now? This is the month. Then I'll add a filter to it, slicer filter. So I've added it to it, then I'll just bring it here. So you can see that the month is from January to March. Don't worry about the ordering. So you can see it's from January to March. So if I click on January, it gives me that. Click on February, it gives me that, right? This is the first quarter of the year. So this is what I wanted to show you, that you can see that the data is from January to March. Okay. Now let's go to, this is our report and this is our editor, right? Now let's go to our folder. Let's go. So let's go to our folder. This is our folder, and our folder has Abuja to Nasarawa from January to March, remember. So now let's say that I told all the branches to submit their data from January to the second quarter. That's January to June, right? And I already have the January to March here, but they are bringing in January to June. You know what you probably think of doing is that, okay, let me copy from this one and populate it here. Let me copy the second quarter from the incoming data and populate the previous data and so on. But no, that will take your time. Okay, so I'm going to show you what you can do so that the data you are coming in overrides what you already have. Remember that that one already contains this and an extension. So that is the exact one that you need. You really do not need this one anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where I have this data set. So I have it in project data. So this is Abuja first to second quarter. So I'm going to select the ones that I need. This is Abuja, this is Enugu. So control select. This is Ibadan, this is Kano, Lagos, and Port Harcourt. Now Sarawak does not have that. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this. Then I'll go to that same data source and I'll paste it here. It's a very simple thing to do. Paste it here. Now, what I'm going to do is, remember that in Power Query, I selected this here, right? Now, as I have done this, if I go to Power Query and I refresh it, there's definitely going to be duplicates because this one has this data in it, right? So if I go to Power Query now and I want to show you something so you understand very well. So if I go to Power Query here now let's go to our data source. This is our source here. Click on these certain icons, you will see your source. So this is where our data is coming from, right? Can you see this is where it is coming from? Now this is what I want to show you. Look at this part here. You can see the part for each of these, right? You can see the part for each of these. Now, what do you see here? You can see the name of this data here. You can see the name of this data. You can see Abuja, the branch data, and so on. Abuja, Enugu, Ibadan. So this is the name of the data that this Power Query recognizes as the source, right? If I refresh this now, do you know what we show here? I'm going to see that Abuja first to second quarter and so on and so forth. But I don't want to see that. Okay, I want to make sure that it overrides that one. What should come to your mind? I need to change the name of that incoming data to this one so that Power Query will recognize this as still Abuja, right? So I'm just going to go to the folder now. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Go to the folder. I'll go to the folder, which is this. Now, if I refresh that, all of this will appear. But currently, Power Query recognizes this, Abuja, Enugu, Ibadan, and does not recognize this one. So what I'm going to do is I am going to delete these ones that does not have this first to second quarter. I'm going to delete this. Select this, Abuja, select Enugu, control select, select Ibadan, select Kano, select Lagos, and select Port Harcourt. Now, these are the ones that Power Query recognizes. These are the names that it recognizes. So I'm just going to get rid of the names quietly without making too much noise. Then I'll now come here and do what? And rename this to that name that Power Query recognizes. So I'm going to rename this and bring this here. Rename this to Abuja. Right? Rename this to what? Enugu, because that's what Power Query knows. So I'm just going to rename everything. Rename this to Enugu. And rename the rest like that. So I'm just going to pause the video and rename everything, okay? So I'm done renaming. Click on enter. Now this has the same name as before, but the content of the data has changed, right? So let's go to Power Query and see what we have done. I'm just going to go to Power Query, then I'll come here and refresh preview. It's looking like we have something going on here. Can you see an error sign or warning sign? So we're just going to trace it. So let's just go to the last one here, or any of these steps. So it's saying that the column order ID of the table wasn't found. So let's trace it to where the table was expanded, which is here. So remember that in the previous table, this was named order ID, but in this one it is ID. That is why it is not working. So what we just need to do is to change this to order ID. So we insert the step. There should be no problem with that. So can you see that the error has disappeared? And voila, we have our updated data. Now you can see that there is no error now. Okay, so let's go on to apply. So we're not just going to close and apply, we're just going to apply so that we can have access to our Power Query whenever we want. So I'm just going to apply this to it. So the data has been updated, right? Now let's go to our desktop view here. What do you see? Before it was January, February, March, right? And now we have April, June. Maybe the data does not have May. Let's see. Let me expand. Okay, it has May. So you can see January, February, March, April, May, June. So we can actually work on ordering this, but that is not our business for today. I mean ordering the month, but that is not what we are here for. But you can see that it has been updated now. You can see February, you can see March, and before it was January to March, but now we have January to June. Can you see? So that was seamless. All right, so what we just had to do is to change the name in our folder to the name that our Power Query recognizes initially. Then we just refreshed it, and that was it. So it's very, very simple. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. If you have been watching my videos, please do not forget to like and share my videos. I'll be uploading more videos, and your like, your subscription will encourage me. So, and do not forget to turn on the notification bell so that you get a ring when I post a new video. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.